guys. So it's been 2 weeks since my suspension, which if you missed that, it's a couple weeks back on our podcast page on supernaturalbiz.com. They wouldn't allow us to put it on YouTube, and it got taken down off of Daily Motion. So for whatever reason, Facebook left it alone, so we've embedded it there. Anyway, I said some things on video, and then I emailed about it and got my email account shut down. So that was very unexpected. I expected to lose social. I expected to lose YouTube. Did not expect my email account to go down. That hurt. So we're going to talk today about some workarounds for should that ever happen to you. And I just wanted to reiterate that actually all of this was really a blessing. I'm viewing it as opportunity. I can see where I'm going to come out ahead of this whole thing, and I'm kind of glad it happened and that it went down the way that it did. So luckily it was not.
Did get it back. So there's that.
And it was just a total BS story from customer service, but whatever. I just left it alone. Do not. Yeah, I contacted support, and the subject line, was it something I said? And and then the screenshots of my account, and they're like, oh, well, it's just because you were inactive for so long that we shut it down. And there's email going in and out of there every day. So no, that was BS, but whatever. We just won't go there. So yeah, that got shut down, but I'm going to wind up getting a better rate on credit card processing because of all of this. And we're figuring out how to do marketing for a lower rate and for more effectiveness. So we're going to talk to you a little bit about that. For me, it's more theory because I haven't done this yet. Alice has actually done it. So I'll let her do more of the talking. I'm just the consumer. I've got some things that I'll show you when we get there that worked on me.
So one of the things that several of it's becoming talked about more broadly than now, I think, is direct mail. So physical mailing things through the post office or with FedEx. The company doesn't necessarily matter, although the post office, and we'll get into that here in a little bit, has some tools in place to help you, especially if you're geographically kind of a known quantity. But it's kind of a little bit of irony that we're kind of going back old school. And part of that is because there are very strict laws on deliverability for the mail. Obviously, the post office has gotten kind of a bad reputation recently for kind of incompetence, but it's not censorship. So,
right. And
even at that, their deliverability rate is much higher than even a very good email list. So, so kind of the benefits of just the functional aspect of that, the downside is there is a cost both to creating the thing that is going to be mailed, as well as the postage for that. However, if it actually gets to your client or your ideal customer and then they know that you're there and can purchase from you versus an email that just never goes anywhere. There's definitely some things for you to consider if that's going to be a good fit for you and your business.
I pay like $90 a month anyway for email. Everybody says it's free. No, it's not free.
Well, yeah, and that is true. You tend to forget just because it's not like you don't have to pay every time you send an email. I do this. I just did it. You do the same thing. You think, oh, it's not going to cost me anything. And actually, depending on some email service providers, you do have like a strict number of emails that you can send per whatever time frame, and then it's going to cost you more money. So it may not be it may not be as much of a cost differential as you're thinking. So so the post office has what they call every door direct. So part of what you need to do if you're wanting to do this is obviously get a hold of people's physical address, because probably you've not asked for that. So you can start by asking, and you're going to need to give somebody a good reason as to why you want their physical mailing address. If you have, like Seneca, an online shop where you mail them products, then lo and behold, you have their address.
Yeah.
And one step ahead. Yeah. So, but one of the things that you can do when you're asking for the information, so that, and I'm noticing more and more on some of the sites that I sign up for, like they want everything. Like they want my phone number, they want my mailing address, they want my email address, they want like all the things just to get an email. That's kind of what I'm signing up for, but clearly they have other plans for my information. Whether they'll do anything with it or not, I don't know. But
no, but I can see having that, just case in point with what happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's so fortunately, like for our foundations class that we teach together, we have everybody's direct mail address. So we like to send celebratory postcards when people, have a big win, or welcoming people to the class or whatever. But also, we now have that information so that if something catastrophic happens, we can mail everybody and say, FYI, this is what's happening and this is how we're going to pivot. If like Facebook gets shut down, our email gets shut down, and we, our website if all the online stuff gets shut down, we still can have our class. We'll have to figure out exactly what that's going to look like, but we'll be able to carry on, which as I think in these interesting times that we're in, is definitely kind of some insurance for a business person. So
you got to have your backups.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So one of the things that you might want to consider, especially if you have a product-based business, although depending on the service that you provide, it might be a good fit as well. If you get someone's birthday, month, at least month and day, you don't necessarily need the year, because then you can send, like the 1st of February, all of the February birthday people, and you can give them a special offer. So if you have something that is conducive to that, then you've got an automatic, hey, happy birthday, something that's non-markety, it's non-salesy, but it's still helping people get in the door. If you've got brick and mortar, and especially like for restaurants, it's a perfect thing because you don't go and celebrate on your own. If you offer people like a free dessert, like they're gonna, bring their family and have dinner and then get the free dessert, So so think creatively as far as when you're thinking about the kind of information to ask for. How are you going to use that, and what are you going to do with it to benefit your customer as well as yourself? So, because obviously it needs to be a win-win. So
yeah, it's just like any other lead generation.
Mm-hmm.
If you have something on your website that's an opt-in for their email address, well, take that and use that
Mm-hmm.
as a printed product.
Yeah.
Or something similar if you need another
Mm-hmm.
gizmo or whatever it is that looks good to them and will be helpful to them.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and if you're working if you're working with your current customer base, then that would be easy to kind of even combine several things into a particular thing, like say a book. We're always so excited about books. That, or like a printed newsletter, or whatever that is physical and tangible that you can send through the mail, so that you have a good reason for asking for their physical mailing address. So if you're looking towards acquiring new customers outside of that, then obviously the trick is to get their address in the first place. And you can buy lists, and you need to be careful with the kind of list that you buy. Make sure it's from a reputable company, all the things, so that you're not buying information illegally or unethically obtained. So, because that's only going to make people mad. That's not a good thing.
Mhm. And you
Although
need to buy
generally people are less upset about like a tangible thing.
it needs to be current too. You don't want to get a whole bunch of stuff that just goes in the trash because they're either not there, or if you pay first class, you're going to get all of that shipped back to you.
Right.
But if you get a bulk mailing,
Mm-hmm.
which the post office, if it's undeliverable, they just trash it. You'll never know.
Yeah.
You won't know how bad that was or how many were undeliverable.
Yeah.
So,
And it is a cheaper rate to do the bulk mail, but it does have its downsides, like Seneca is saying. Like that might be something for a more established list that you'd want to look into for more regular mailings. So rather than, even though it sounds enticing for an initial mailing, and there are some people that recommend, of course, depending on the like how much a customer is worth to you. There are people that they FedEx, they call them shock and awe packages. It's like a big thing. And they literally, overnight deliver it to people's door as a lead generation or a lead magnet, because they know, they've done the tests, they've done all of the math around it, and they know that it's worth it to them. They know about the percentage of conversions to a paid customer, and so they know what their break-even point is, that they can still be profitable by doing that. So, and that just if you're in a small niche with, people are worth tens of dollars or maybe hundreds of dollars for you, then probably spending $100 on something to mail to them, not a good plan. So,
right.
so if you're geographically located, the post office has what's called every door direct mail. And we're going to put together a resource guide and have that for you on our podcast page on our site. So you can, or at the link in the description, wherever we decide to put that. We didn't decide that part.
In front of the horse, we do that all the time.
Yeah. So, but there are several companies that have contracted with the postal service to do every door direct mail, and it is what it says it is. Like you pick a zip code and they deliver it to every door in that zip code. Or you can also get some of the lists that you can specify, like I just want new homeowners in this county, but it's very geographically based. And then it's quite a bit less expensive. I can't remember off the top of my head, but if I remember right, I think, yeah, it's like less than half of the postage for a first class mail piece.
And that can be like a full-size piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
It can be postcard size, or it can be like a full, I don't know what their limit is. It's bigger than a piece of paper.
Oh, I think it's like 12 by 15. I don't know. We will include that in the guide as well.
And then my understanding was you have to target a whole carrier route. So you can pick which, if you have a certain neighborhood in a certain town that you like and you think you're going to do well there, and you can find out which route that is and then blanket that route. Mm-hmm. Or you can do the whole zip code like Alice was saying.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's where it gets a little fuzzy, because I think some of the people that have contracted do sell other lists. And so that's how I got there, but it's probably not considered every door direct, but it's still.
No, it would be, because every door direct is just, you go down to the post office and you talk to them. Yeah. Or you go online and work through it. But like if you have a landscape company, for instance, and you want to hit a nice side of town, people that have money that don't want to do their own landscaping, then you can totally, that's a great use of every door direct mail. Mm-hmm. For me, it wouldn't be so much because mine is very interest based. So
right. And
I
there
would be
are
doing
list
that.
brokers. They're called list brokers, and we've got some of those that will be on the. And we don't make any promises that that's an exhaustive list, but that have been recommended to us, that you can kind of niche down your list based on interests or demographic factors or that kind of thing. I'm not entirely certain. When Dan Kennedy is always saying that, like, if you wanted like a one-legged jockey, who is 4 foot tall and weighs 10 pounds, like 100 pounds or whatever, he got ridiculously specific. But he's like, if you wanted to just send to those 50 people in the United States, like, there is somebody that you can buy that list from, like, that you can really kind of whittle down to your ideal target customer. So, and you can also try different factors as well, and do an A/B test, like, well, I think that this is what's going to really work, but I can also try this other thing and see. So and there
Yeah,
again,
and
I think
you can track that with coupon codes, or you could track that with QR codes,
yeah,
or different links,
yeah,
that wind up at the same content, but you'll
yeah.
be
So
able to see.
where your traffic came from. Yeah. So, and that's when you're dealing with I think marketing in general, but I think especially direct mail, you want to make sure that your numbers, your data. You're not gonna be doing something and just throwing a whole bunch of money down a hole that isn't ever going to lead to anything. So you want to know that what you're doing is going to be beneficial to you.
We'll put some formulas in your worksheet to
Mm-hmm.
track some of that stuff.
So
You need to know your cost to acquire a customer,
mm-hmm.
and then you need to know your lifetime value of the customer. So
Yeah.
between those two things, you'll go quite a ways with marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to assess, your efforts and how it's going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of whatever variety. And it might be worthwhile to try the same messaging and the same basic content and of your advertising piece online as well as through direct mail, because there might be one that does better in one arena than the other. So and
Pretty
you're
much guarantee that's going to be the way it goes.
yeah.
Just even across online platforms, there's a difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it would be helpful for you to know that information, so that way you can make the right decision for what you're wanting to do with your business and therefore your marketing at that particular time. So, if you know that you are wanting to do this make this offer to a group of people and they are not online, well, then don't run Google ads or don't run Facebook ads, or because the people aren't there. Send them something in the mail. So,
Yeah.
but so the other thing that you'll need to do, which you need to do for online marketing as well, is to have good graphics to go with your advertising piece. And you need to have a kind of, whoever does that for you, or if you do that, you need to make sure that you follow the specifications for the printer that you're going to be using. So, and that varies by printer. A lot of even like Vistaprint, I know there's a lot of places that have templates that you can kind of put your information in. They've got them, like Vistaprint has a bunch based on different kind of categories of business. So like, health and beauty will be one, or, they'll have architecture will be another one, and they'll have several with imagery and kind of the style and the structure of the ad piece that you can customize for your business, add your logo, all that kind of stuff. So you can do something that's templated that way. Obviously, the risks of that are that it is a template; it's available to everybody. So it might be used by someone else in your particular category. So I don't know how, go ahead.
And Vista Print's kind of expensive for that anyway, aren't they?
So it
getting
depends.
postcards.
Like it depends. Sometimes they run sales. They tend to be the cheapest fairly often for that I've found anyway for business cards. So, but shop around and see. I've used overnight prints in the past. I had a little bit of a wobble last time. They were kind of going through some changes, and I think my order went through at kind of the wrong time. So, I bet I've used. Yeah, they're no longer overnight for sure. I mean, I first started using them like, I don't know, 15 years ago, maybe longer. And they literally were overnight. You uploaded your design that, in the afternoon, they print it overnight, ship it out to you the next day. That was fantastic. They don't do that anymore. So, but you can look at all the different online, you can just do a search on, printing a postcard or, whatever size mailer, that kind of thing. Some of the Every Door Direct companies will do printing, like they'll do the whole thing for you. So you can actually buy your list. Yeah, you can buy your list, you can upload your information, they will print it, ship it. And so it's a very hands-off process for you. But so you can also use Canva as another resource that is free or inexpensive and has templates available. I'm sure there's a lot more kind of things online, or you can hire a graphic designer like someone like me to do things that if you want something that's specific and custom to you and you don't want to mess with it. So and or like, again, with anything, when you're hiring someone else to do something, that also should be kind of a cost versus benefit decision that you make very consciously and deliberately. So because for me, it isn't going to take me, because I'm familiar with the tools. I'm using Photoshop and InDesign and all those, all the time. So I'm in there. It's very quick and easy for me. Whereas it might take you several days to do something. What else could you be doing with those several days of your time that may be far more profitable and beneficial that then you can hire someone else or, pay for a graphic design service or whatever. So, so think carefully. A lot of times I think we tend to, and I tend to be that way. I default to DIY. But I am trying to be a lot more intentional about, okay, but is that really my gift? Is that my skill set? And am I far better to hire someone else whose skill and gift set that is, and let them do their thing far better than I can do, while I do this other thing that is going to make me, so that costs me, just using round numbers. So that costs me $100, and this I can make $1,000 over here doing this. Well, it's going to cost me $900 to do it myself because I'm not going to have made the $1,000. So just think through those things.
This economics 101.
Yeah.
So here's an example of some direct mail that worked for me. Like I hung on to this and kept it so that I could go and order off the site. And there's not much on here. I mean, there's a VW bus. I have no idea what that has to do with anything that they're selling. This is for supplements.
Yeah.
But, there's not a lot to look at. It gets your attention. And even on this side, there's not a ton of stuff to read. So you know exactly what it is when you look at it and you make that decision. And this was another one that got me to go on the site and buy. I'm not subscribed to this newsletter list because it was annoying. So yeah, I was happy to see this. I've got a coupon here and I went and bought. And then I don't know if they send out specific ones for specific people, but they know from my order history that I am a brunette that wants orange hair. So they have on here brunettes with orange hair.
Well, and that is, that is one thing that the more similarities that you can tie to the person that you're advertising to, the stronger that message is. So, because
Yeah.
Seneca's like, oh, that is someone just like me who uses this thing. I mean, we see it all the time. So, definitely, if you have that kind of that level of information, use it to your advantage. So, especially, if you're, which I'm going to assume that you are providing a good service that is a benefit to people, it's not a smarmy thing to do to offer the right thing to the right person. It's a blessing to them. So, and it's the choice is still theirs. But just like Seneca said, they're simple. So often, like I'll get things and there's like so much stuff on there. I'm like, I don't even know who's sending this to me, and I just pitch it in the trash before I even get home.
Don't
Um,
make me read and think.
mhm,
And that's
yeah.
the thing with the email too. It's like, okay, I am subscribed to Vitacost, but I have it all filtered into my shopping folder, and I never look at it unless I want to make an order from there, and then I'm going to go see what's on sale.
Mhm,
Maybe I'll
yeah.
get that far. But yeah, like, okay, I can get 12% off anything, done.
Yeah. So, yeah, and that's, I think, with anything, your call to action should be one thing. Like, what one thing do you want that person to do at the end of this? So, and that is something that, I personally have to fight against every single time I write any kind of copy, because I want them to do all the things. So, but they're not going to do all the things. They might do one thing or they'll do nothing, but they're not doing all the things.
Well, and again, that's where segmentation comes in and knowing who your audience is.
Mhm.
Because, I mean, here they clearly know that I have brown hair and I want it to be orange. So
Yeah.
if you can break it down like that for your customer base, like, I don't know that I would want to create a whole bunch of different little postcards and
Mhm.
mess with all of that. But the size company they are, it probably behooves them to do it. My
Mhm.
size, maybe not. What I am thinking about doing, I just released a new flower essence blend, so I could do a graphic with that and mail that out.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know that it's necessarily the thing that each person that I would mail it to would need, but I am pleasantly surprised by how much we sold. We sold out in no time, actually, and I had to scramble and get back in there and get production
Make
going.
more.
So that sounds promising to
That's
take that
a good problem
market a
to
little
have.
bit
Yeah.
further. And
Yeah.
that's how Alice and I have looked at things like, okay, what's doing well, what's popular? Let's roll that out a little further than we have before.
Mhm.
We take our blog posts and we make a book out of it, things like that. So if you have a really good campaign or a really good product, then
Mhm.
yeah, put it
Yeah,
out there
and
in different
especially if
places.
you're working in, yeah, I think like a new media of any kind for your advertising, take something that is working really well somewhere else, that is not
Hmm.
specific to that particular platform, something that has more possibility of a broader appeal. Um, and then you do that, because it's more of a sure thing. Nothing's a sure 100% sure thing, but it's closer. So if you know that most people like it, there's so,
Yeah.
and that's,
Yeah. And well, the time of year is working in my favor for that blend. So I need to get on it if I'm going to do it.
yeah. Yep.
So yeah, seasonal stuff, anything like that. That's all. You kind
Mhm.
of have to plan ahead if you're going to do bulk mail because,
Mhm.
that's what
Yeah,
I
it is.
call wagon train. That's how they ship it. It takes a while. So
Yeah.
if you're going to do first class, it's not a big deal. But then
Yeah.
first class costs you.
Mhm.
But like Alice was saying earlier, that might be a good initial run is to do it first class and see how that list is, and then you can subsequently send them through bulk mail to the same list.
Yeah, make sure that the addresses are good and accurate. And that might be
Mm-hmm.
something that you want to do periodically. I haven't, I'm not doing it enough right now to, um, but I would think that you probably want to do that periodically just so you can take people off that have moved. And I mean, because I'm sure everyone watching this will have had the experience of, you're receiving the person's mail who moved like who knows how many years ago.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and the magic words so and so or current resident
yeah,
get it delivered even,
yeah. And that, I mean, that's kind of like your first clue that, oh, this is marketing because,
Yeah, true.
so it is best to send something to a specific person at a specific address, but that is better than nothing. So, and if you don't have it, then, and if you're, if that piece of mail comes at the right time for the right person, then they're going to be, intrigued by the message of that. So regardless of whether it was specifically addressed to them, and then hopefully they'll make a purchase, and then you will have their name to associate with their email or their mailing address. So
This one was sent first class, and this one was bulk mail.
Yeah.
So
See, and that's it makes me think that probably they are small batches for the hair one. So
maybe so, yeah, because they probably noticed that I hadn't been on there in a while, and probably due for a stock up. And
yeah.
maybe you're right. You can see my roots a little bit.
So, and that's, people, we're such a disconnected society. One of the things that I recently went to they called it a day with Dan. Dan Kennedy spoke for the first time in years. And he has some health issues. So, you don't know how long he'll be around. So I went to Florida to go and see Dan. They had go have the day with Dan. And one of the things that he was talking about was partly the delivery of a piece of mail is the next best thing to someone actually physically showing up and saying, "Hi, I'm so and so with such and such." And I don't know that I had thought about that, but I think it is true. If you get a physical note from a friend or relative or something, then it's they had
As
to
an
take time.
introvert, it's better because I don't want somebody showing up at my door and going, "Hi,
Right.
I'm so and so."
The introverts among us, yes, we prefer the mail. Yeah, the door-to-door salespeople. So, but
Right.
yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me, and I'm really excited and intrigued um by the kind of the opportunities and that kind of stuff. So one of the things I kind of wish that I had done was saved all the junk mail all these years, although I've known what to do with it. So
Right.
there are people
I
who are
say,
making lots of money off of selling copies of old junk mail.
but we get so much less junk mail, I think, than we
Yeah.
used to.
Well, and
So everybody's
interestingly,
gone online. So, there's something to zigging when everybody else zags. So
because
let
you're
everybody else
definitely going
have.
to stand out in the mailbox a whole lot more now than you would have 20 years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
So because, like you said, I hardly ever get junk mail. So, which, now that I, know what to do with it, I'm a little sad about. But but also like pay attention to the junk mail that you do get, or the marketing pieces that you get. So a lot of times, because the big companies who have done this stuff for years, they know that it works and that it works well. And even online things
Right.
still have like a print presence. So
I
it's
think especially for if your audience is older,
mhm,
like for a supplement company, I can totally see them sending stuff like this.
mhm,
But this is like funky hair color. This is younger people mostly.
mhm. Yeah.
But they're still mailing it.
Yeah. So, and that's, you know, it's real super easy to delete. And that's, you know, in fact, I've deleted stuff I'm sure that I probably shouldn't have my inbox because I gotten just deleting everything. So it's super easy without even looking at it, opening it up or anything. You have to physically handle a piece of mail to throw it in the trash. So even
Right.
if it goes directly from mailbox to trash, it has still been in their hand and they've still had to look at it and make that decision.
Well,
So
and that's why this is better than something in an envelope that's obvious junk mail that I'm never even going to open, but just file in the trash.
yeah.
Like, it doesn't take me long to see that I can get a discount on my order.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, listening.
Yeah. So, and everybody likes to save money. So that's, and not that you have to, you know, offer a discount code or anything like that all the time. It's, you don't have to, you don't ever have to do that. Just have some kind of compelling offer for people that meets their need at the time. So,
Yep.
and that's good. So hopefully we've given you guys some things to think about and different avenues for you to explore. If you're kind of getting real nervous about the way the online world is going, you can move things offline and still carry on and do the thing that God's gifted you to do. So, and be the blessing in the earth that He created you to be. So, in the link in the description, above or below, depending on where you're seeing this. So we'll have the link for that resource sheet for you. So that'll be somewhere, at least kind of a jumping off place where you can get started. So,
Yep.
so we'll talk to y'all later.